Trump's day in court continues, but it's really the posse that he brought with him, which was fantastic and super fiery, including our pal Seb Gorka. And you're going to see that. It just happened like 20 minutes ago. Plus, Bill Maher journeys to Fox News with Greg Gutfeld. And it's really good. It's funny. It's fiery. There's debate. There's engagement. There's people discussing the differences of opinion. It's like America having a conversation again. You'll see every minute of that. And CNN interviews a hardcore rapper, and it goes, well, about exactly how you expected it to go, and it's awesome. We'll get into all that and more. My name is Larry O'Connor. Please call me Larry. Yes, Donald Trump is back. No, wait. First, let's do some quick introductions. Thank you for watching us. We're streaming live on Rumble right now, and we'd love for you to join the chat room. I'm going to do my best to engage today. Some days is harder than others, but today we've got some nice lengthy clips, and I can listen in one ear and also exchange some jokes and some chats with the people who are in our live chat today. So hold tight, everybody, on Rumble, all our Rumblers. I'll be there with you and chat with you in just a few. Also, if you're watching us after the fact, set an alarm and come on over here, or just hit notifications right now on the account you're watching. So when we do go live, you'll be able to watch us. And by the way, you guys have been awesome supporting the show by sharing all of the links to the various segments we put out. Every day, our show consists of about 3, 4, 5 different segments, and we break them out individually as standalone videos, and you've been watching them and sharing them and liking them, and we're really grateful. Thank you very much for that. One last item, and then we'll get to the news. If you're on the go and you can't watch, subscribe to our audio-only podcast, either Apple or Spotify or wherever you like your podcast. We're there too. You can hear the show wherever you are, and it's almost as good. Some would say, since I have a face for radio, it's even better. So you can hear what we're doing without having to look at me. But that would hurt my feelings. Donald Trump arrived in court today. This is after yesterday's disaster. Not only did Michael Cohen, of course, get caught in a lie, a couple of lies, but he also admitted on the stand that he was a thief and he embezzled from Donald Trump. But for some reason, the prosecution kept plugging along, saying, oh, yeah, we're fine with this. Everything's going to be good. It's almost like it's baked in the cake. It's almost like the fix is in. As usual, Donald Trump showed up in court. But today, the most noteworthy part of his appearance was who was with him, who was standing with President Trump. Take a look at this murderer's row. If you look there, you'll be able to recognize, of course, the president's son, Donald Trump Jr. You're also going to see Matt Whitaker, who is a former U.S. attorney and was deputy attorney general right before Bill Barr was named. You're going to see former Attorney General of Florida Pam Bondi, Lieutenant Governor of Texas Dan Patrick, Senator Eric Schmidt, Representative Daniel Webster, Representative Dan Muser, Representative Ronnie Jackson, who was the president's physician, you'll remember, and then ran for Congress in Texas, Representative Troy Nehls, Representative Dale Strong, Representative Maria Salazar, also Sebastian Gorka, you see there on the right, looking fierce and ready for action. We got some video of him in a second. He, of course, part of our Salem News family. Also, Chuck Zito, former Hell's Angels member. Joe Piscopo, also a radio talk show host with Salem in New York. Bill White, columnist. Also, I'm told, and I can't see him in the picture here, but Alan Dershowitz, former Harvard law professor and now commentator, was in the crowd too. That's an amazing image. And thank you, by the way, to our buddy Benny Johnson, who found that picture and put it out there through Getty Images. As you can see, the photographer, Michael Santiago. So as usual, the entourage followed President Trump into the courtroom, watched until the first recess, and then emerged. And take a look at the fiery scene outside the courtroom.
What is Judge Merchan hiding? Here is a 28-page document from the Southern District of New York about what? Michael Cohen and why he is a criminal. This document was meant to be brought up in court Judge Merchan suppressed it. This is from the Southern District. 28 pages. Michael Cohen being a perjurer and a criminal. What are you hiding, Judge Merchan? Is it perhaps the fact that your daughter has just made $93 million for the Democrat Party? President Trump is being gagged. He's the leader of the opposition. He is the only person who can replace the incumbent senile old man. And we know that this judge is working on behalf of the Democrats. Why are you hiding this document, Judge Merchan? I'm going to put it on the internet today. What are you hiding, Judge Merchan?
They want to be sure that anyone that speaks up against the ruling class disappears. They want Donald Trump to disappear. They want to send him to jail. They want to take him off the main stage because they know here's their biggest danger to taking the ruling class down. No, you know why? Donald Trump is not the ruling class. Donald Trump is for every New Yorker. He's for every Texan, every state. Donald Trump has put his whole life on the line, for the American people. When he came down that escalator, he probably had no idea that he was going to be called to be the man in the gap to stand up for Americans. And he's standing up for you, even if you don't know it. I don't know who's next.
Would a member of the ruling class be facing 730 years in prison? What a pathetic question. 730 years in prison, and he's a member of the elite? That's pathetic. You're not a journalist.
You gotta love Seb right at the end there. Dr. Sebastian Gorka, national radio host and also a member of our Salem family. That was Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick from Texas there making that point. And I'd love to get the name of that reporter. Gorka will probably be revealing it later today on his nationally syndicated radio show, if he can make it back to a microphone after being there on the streets of New York. But whoever it was said, Trump's the ruling class. He used to be president. Isn't Trump the ruling class? And let's watch one more time how Seb handles this journalist. It's so beautiful.
Would a member of the ruling class be facing 730 years in prison? What a pathetic question. 730 years in prison, and he's a member of the elite? That's pathetic. You're not a journalist.
You're not a journalist. They're not journalists. We've told you that. They're advocates. They're actually sort of working for the other guys. They're not in any way trying to just find objective truth and inform their people. That's why he's debating right there on the city's sidewalk. If their job was to report information and gather news and disseminate it to their readers or their viewers or their listeners, then they would take the information and then go back to their viewers and say, well, this is what Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick said, and then play it. But instead, he's debating with them. He's shouting back at them. He's got a little pink hat on. All right. Also, oh, this is pretty rich. This was played inside the courtroom. You know, Michael Cohen, despite the fact that he literally physically looks like a rat, if you've looked at him, he just, it's unfortunate. I don't like to make fun of people's appearances, mostly. But he does. Michael Cohen looks like a rat, which is appropriate because he acts like a rat. Well, he's trying to be this mild-mannered, put-upon guy. Oh, I was so beaten down by Trump world. I was trying to please my little daddy figure. I'm just an innocent victim in all of this. I got caught up in the web of lies of fascist little orange Hitler, and I'm, innocent and fine. Well, that's the Cohen that is trying to present himself to the jury. But as you can see from this CNN panel describing it, there was a different Michael Cohen that was played for the jury, and even CNN has to recognize how bad this guy is. Watch.
But it was played, a moment of it was played in the courtroom today, and it was so fascinating because, Michael Cohen's testimony has been very even-keeled,
even demeanor,
very rational, very yes, ma'am, no, sir, all this. And suddenly they played this thing, and there's a guy screaming in the room, like, using expletives.
Song? No, it's just normal Michael.
No, it's just
regular.
But first of all, there's also a rap. As somebody who does a podcast, I was like, is this his actual normal speaking voice in a podcast? Because it's literally yelling, and it's clearly written down because he's speaking in a way that's not. So he's written down these yells, like it's got to be all in caps. I mean, it was shocking. I was like, it was,
between that, just the volume of him and compared with his very calm demeanor, that was, I also was like, whoa.
I mean, it filled the courtroom. I don't know if somebody turned up the volume too loud. I was like, is this intentionally too loud? Oh, wait, I'm told we have a clip of the podcast. Let's play it and play it loud because it was quite loud in the courtroom, I got to tell you. Let's hear it.
Volume. I truly hope that this man ends up in prison. It won't bring back the year that I lost or the damage done to my family, but revenge is a dish best served cold. And you better believe I want this man to go down and rot inside for what he did to me and my family.
So, yeah, that's what was played in court.
I think he's a little biased. I don't know.
Well,
well, and that's the key here, is that this is the Michael Cohen that now was presented to the jury so that they can see who he really was. And gee, maybe if that's truly how he feels about Donald Trump, maybe he will say and do anything on the witness stand, even lie, if it means enacting revenge against Donald Trump and getting him put behind bars. By the way, it should be lost on no one that the name of his podcast is Mea Culpa, which of course in Latin means I am guilty. So that's the star witness for the prosecution, Michael Cohen. Honestly, guys, not going well at all. Let's go back to earlier today, though. Before Gorka came out there and started smacking down reporters, before the testimony began today in the trial, as per usual, Donald Trump did meet the media, and he had a little bit to say.
Well, thank you very much. Just to begin, so the news on inflation it really is rampant. It's moving at a level like people have not seen. They don't seem to be able to cut it down. Biden has no control over what's happening. He started it with energy, and now it's taking on a life of its own. It's very sad. We'll get it fixed. I'd like to be out campaigning right now, but again, I'm going to be in here almost 5 weeks in court. They have no case. There's no crime. Every single legal expert, and I can say this again and again, and every time they come out, maybe at some point they'll come out and say, oh, we found something. But every single legal expert, Andy McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, Mark Levin, every one of them, Greg Jarrett, these are great talents. These are actually very brilliant guys, and they're not necessarily on my side historically over the years. But they're very talented people. They're legal scholars, highly respected. Every single person is saying there's no crime. There's no crime. It's a kangaroo court. There's never been anything like this that I've ever seen. Now I have 2 other trials that were kangaroo courts also. It's stacked up. And hopefully appellate division will take care of those things because they're egregious. And the problem is that New York is really on trial itself. The whole world is watching. They're seeing what's happening. And you can't use conflicted judges. This is a conflicted judge, highly conflicted judge. And you just can't do that. You just cannot allow that to happen because you ruin the whole system. The whole system comes tumbling down. And New York, look, I love New York. This is where I grew up. I was born here. I grew up here. And I see what's happening with this judicial system. And it's just, they call it all kangaroos. And we just can't have it. And I think the appellate courts can take care of a lot of things, but this one shouldn't even get to an appellate court. This should be an easy ruling, and it should really be. And I think it would be great for Judge Marchand to rule from the bench and to terminate this witch hunt. And it needs it. It needs decisiveness. Every single scholar says there's been no crime. He's done nothing wrong. And I'm fighting for 300 million people. I mean, I have no choice. It's not that I like doing this. Sitting in an icebox all day for 7, 8, 9 hours. And it's a very cold room, I will tell you that. But I'm doing this because our country needs it. Our Constitution's under threat. Our country needs it. So here I am. I will be doing something in the morning and then probably coming back in the afternoon. And we'll be resting pretty quickly. Resting meaning resting the case. I won't be resting. I don't rest. I like to rest sometimes, but I don't get to rest. But we have a phenomenal case. We've won the case by any standard. Any other judge would have thrown this case out. Any other judge would have thrown this case out. And I think that Juan Marchand would do himself and do the state and the city a great service by doing what everybody knows should be done. And so we're going to go in. We'll have another little scrum in a little while, perhaps. It should end a little bit early today. We appreciate you suffering with us. Look, you've been with us for 5 weeks, and you see it. The crowds outside, we can't get, it's not a very big thing for us. We don't really care that much. But people want to get out there, and You have all police. The only people that are let out there is the radical left lunatics. And they put our people 4 or 5 blocks away. There are a lot of them, too. But I say that doesn't matter. What matters is what's going on in this courthouse. So thank you very much. We'll be back a little bit later. Thank you.
Good statement there. And again, Donald Trump, this time not reading from, he mentioned Greg Jarrett and a couple of other commentators, but he didn't read some news items from various people because he knew he had his posse behind him, literally backing him up there. And they would go out there. And I just want to remind everybody, especially if you have left-wing liberal friends who were like, yeah, of course Trump's guilty. And don't say this isn't fair. This is completely fair. Every single thing that you just saw, from Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick to Sebastian Gorka to whatever, anybody else there literally backing him up and having his back behind him, whatever they said to the media today, if Donald Trump had gone out there and expressed his opinion in the exact same way, used his First Amendment rights to express himself and to defend himself and plead his innocence and to point out the unfair, unconstitutional, and corrupt way this process is being carried out, then Donald Trump would be put in jail. And I defy anybody to explain that to me. If this man says it, it's completely fine. It's constitutionally protected speech. But if this man, the man who actually stands accused and is facing off against the full force of the government and the legal system, who can strip away his money and his freedom and put him in jail, if he says the exact same thing in his defense, he gets put in jail automatically for violating an unconstitutional gag order. No one can explain that to me within the confines of the First Amendment and the Constitution, because it's completely wrong. It's fraudulent. If this person can say it, then this person should be able to say it, period. End of discussion. All right, real fast before we move on to the next segment, let's interact with some of our so there's a debate going on about how tall Donald Trump is, because I mentioned in our chat here, because they were talking about Sebastian Gorka and about Sebastian Gorka sort of, being intimidating there. Where did it go? Oh, yeah. Wait, where did it go? Stop scrolling. I said, because Gorka, at Gorka's studio, actually, there it is. He's a big day. Yeah. Wouldn't you, Kevin, would you say Gorka's 6'3", maybe 6'4"?
I think he's about as tall as I am.
Well, you're 6'3", aren't you?
I'm 6'5".
Oh, are you that tall?
Yeah.
Well, the difference is Gorka's also got this barrel chest. I mean, you're still a lean, mean fighting machine, McMahon.
Thank
Gorka's,
you.
Right? And so people don't know this, but, Town Hall is located in Washington, D.C., and Gorka's studio, where he does his show, is literally like 2 doors away from us in our studio. It's on the same floor where we broadcast. So we see Gorka around a lot. Oftentimes I see him as I'm leaving, he's coming in the garage. Anyway, the point is, and I've known Seb before he joined the Trump White House, actually. I used to have him as a guest on our show. But not only is he, so let's say he's 6'4". But that, you don't need to highlight that. But why are you flexing that you're 6'5", Kevin? And that people
makes a great point. He makes a great point.
This is shallow. You're a shallow man. That was your vanity talking right there. That is true too. He cannot jump. I've never seen Kevin play basketball, but I'm sure he's got a mean hook. What the hell were we saying? Oh, Gorka just is an intimidating presence. He is, and if he's, I've never had him angry at me, but we've like exchanged passionate debating points before over politics in a friendly way, by the way. And he definitely, I bet that reporter was kind of bricks. If you know what you do with bricks when you're freaked out a little bit, that's exactly what he was doing. All right, we'll get back to the live chat in just a bit. There's something that's been lost in American politics lately, and in American entertainment for that matter, and social discourse. It's funny how social media and the advent of it has actually created a world where we are encouraged not to socialize with each other, not just in person, but online as well. If you remember when social media began, it was, oh, here's pictures of my family and my kids, and I'm excited about my child going to college or whatever. And then the 2008 presidential election happened. Barack Obama was running for president, and they harnessed social media as a political weapon. Do you remember, if you're old enough to remember, in 2008, people started replacing their own pictures on Facebook with pictures of Barack Obama, the hope and change imagery. And I was so weirded out by that. It's like people were taking on his identity for their own identity. And it was brilliant from the perspective of the Obama campaign to create this movement, not a political movement, but a social movement on his behalf. And he won the day, and he certainly won Facebook. But it was from that point on where if you expressed your political opinion on Facebook and it was to the right of center, I mean, people felt emboldened to call you a Nazi. And certainly a racist, because anybody who opposes Barack Obama on the issues has got to be a racist, because he's so right on all the issues. The only other thing that you must not like about him is that he has black skin. I say all of this as a setup to a remarkable thing that happened last night on Fox News Channel, of all places, where there was a free and lively, sometimes even spicy exchange of ideas in a very friendly way on the Gutfeld show. Because Greg Gutfeld invited onto his panel comedian Bill Maher, who, as we've chronicled here on Larry, he's been sort of tiny bit red-pilled. He's been expressing opinions that the mainstream left is not supposed to express openly. And Gutfeld likes having conversation. He likes engaging, and he likes people who are interesting, and Gutfeld also likes people who are funny. So let's take a look at what has become kind of a lost art in this country, a conversation about politics where not everybody agrees, and then everybody doesn't run away screaming and calling each other names. Watch.
So far, so fun?
I have a few quibs.
Okay, go for it. Quib away, Mr. Quib.
Well, I mean, I agree that it's great that we're talking. I agree that we agree on some things. We're not exactly aligned on the most important things, which is basically Trump is someone who does not concede elections. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
You don't seem to see it that way. That's the most important thing that's going on in this country. He didn't concede the last election. He's not going to concede this election.
You don't know that. You don't see into the future, Bill. I don't see your crystal ball.
Yeah, I did, because I was the only one who was talking about that way back when. And everybody said, oh, you smoke too much pot. Turned out I smoked just the right amount of pot.
There's no right amount.
But can you really picture this guy going, you know what? I lost. That's it.
He did. He left.
He left because he had to leave, because he couldn't.
Yes, but that's how it works.
Well,
what do you think he's going to like board up the White House? You know, pull a straw dogs with Dustin Hoffman?
Well, last time he thought the other Republicans would back him up when he called that guy in Georgia and said, "I need 11,000 votes. I want you to find."
He said find. He didn't say create. He said find.
Well, that's the same thing.
No, it's not. You don't say on an Easter egg hunt, I want you to create some Easter eggs.
We have a show here.
All right, Dr. Drew.
Okay.
Boys. I mean, my favorite show of television ever to do was Politically Incorrect.
Which you stole. This is exactly what it looked like, except the difference was Politically Incorrect was purposely mixing people with different viewpoints.
Which is what we're doing
tonight.
Yeah. This is why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No.
So, Dr. Drew.
Yes, sir.
You're really good at diagnosing mental illness.
Okay.
What is Bill's problem?
All right, now I just want to say, so far, I found it a good conversation. I think Greg did a good job pushing back on the whole Trump thing. But I can't believe that Gutfeld let Maher get away with one line there that really stuck out to me. Maybe it stuck out to you. That the idea that Trump doesn't concede elections is the most important thing he is facing. That is a Joe Biden Democrat talking point. That's what they want you to believe. That Joe Biden's and the Democrats, their complete campaign strategy between now and November is democracy hangs in the balance. Democracy is in peril. Our nation is hanging by a thread, and if Trump wins, it's over. That's all they've got. Because they sure can't talk about 4 more years of gusto economy. They can't talk about how great national security is, or our border, or crime, or immigration, or the Middle East, or Europe, or China, or anything. inflation, unemployment. Can I go on? How about interest rates? How about, our stature in the world? How about the fact that we have an incompetent mashed potato for brains president? They can't talk about any of that stuff. The only thing they've got is Donald Trump will end our future because he'll become an authoritarian dictator. And Bill Maher got away with it. The most important thing our country faces. Seriously. Nobody believes that except the people who watch Morning Joe. But this last thing was the most important thing. When Gutfeld turned to Dr. Drew and says, you're a medical professional, you've diagnosed mental illness, what's wrong with Bill Maher? And Bill laughed. Bill laughing is the most important part of that, because more important than anything else in this world, funny is the most important thing. Even if it's at your own expense. And we got to get back to this. We really do. And it has nothing to do with Bill as a person or Greg as a person or any of that stuff. It has to do with us as a nation being able to, yes, laugh at our other, have conversations like this, and then break the tension so that we all know that at the end of the day, we still love each other. I really was moved by what happened here. And it could only happen on Fox News. Do you think MSNBC or CNN could ever do this? Ever? All right, a little bit more.
Wow. I feel like Tom Brady. No, let me. It does feel personal about Trump with Bill.
It's not.
It feels that way.
No, I don't think so.
Personal.
No. It's just a difference of opinion.
He did sue me.
View.
Did he sue you?
Of course.
Well, I didn't know that.
Really?
No.
You're in news?
Yes. I don't follow everything in your life, Bill.
Right. Well, that was kind of... Yes, he sued me because I said he possibly was the son of an orangutan.
Oh.
Because we showed the picture. He looks exactly like the hair color. It looks exactly like an orangutan.
You know what's interesting as far as it pertains to Orange? He has always been the stand-up politician, right? But now he's sort of heading towards Carrot Top. Some of the stuff he's doing at the podium with the Tic Tacs and everything. He's really becoming a comedian at the podium.
Well, he's you know what? He realizes that he's winning. I think that's bothering you, Bill.
Well, it is bothering me because, again, he's an insurrectionist who doesn't believe in democracy. So, of course, it's bothering me. And, of course, he's also insane and a criminal and stupid.
Except for that, Bill.
But I got to say,
I'll vote for him.
Like, what works for him, like when that clip you just showed, I mean, look, he's almost the same age as Biden, but Biden presents as old, ancient.
Yeah.
That does not look old.
No, it doesn't.
He does not present as old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Kiss. He puts on the wig and the face paint, and it's 1976 all over again.
Oh, those were the days.
All right, now say it with me, everybody, because you know the difference here. And again, Bill Maher is sort of playing into the fake narrative that the media might concede to, but it actually ends up serving Joe Biden, that this entire thing is an age question. Oh, sure, Biden's old, but Trump's about the same age. And Maher is pretending as though he's offering some grace and consideration to Donald Trump by saying, yeah, but he doesn't seem as old, does he? But say it with me, guys, because you know you've watched this long enough. It's not about his age. What is it about? It's about the fact that Joe Biden, can we say it together, has mashed potatoes for brains. I don't care if he's 42 or 82 or 102. In fact, I've seen people in their 90s pushing 100 who actually seem to have their act together better than Joe Biden. Because it's not about age. Stop conceding that it's about age. Stop saying that Biden's too old. I'm prepared to say that Joe Biden is not too old to be president. Put it down, lock it down for me. You can quote me. Absolutely not. Joe Biden is not too old to run for president. He's too brain damaged to run for president. That's the problem, not his age. And if somebody were 42 years old and had the same brain damage that Joe Biden has, he would be ineligible to be president as well, not because of his age. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. Mashed potatoes for brains.
Let's bring you in here.
As the other orange one.
Yes. That really is bright. I'm just thinking about Tang.
I love Tang.
If we could sit here and have a conversation, why can't other Americans?
I think most Americans are.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this is actually online, and that it is people thinking that America is so polarized, when in your daily life, if you get offline and you see people in the grocery, there's a smile, you share a smile. Like I know that there are people that would never, maybe at a school board meeting, right? Those get contentious, and you could feel like nobody agrees with me. And I hear that a lot, but I'm like, I look around, I'm like, actually, I don't think people are that much at each other's throats. We in the media tend to exacerbate that. One of the things that Bill had over the weekend on his show was Nellie Bowles.
Yeah.
She is a co-founder of the Free Press, independent media. They're doing some great work over there.
Yeah.
And she was also selling a book. In her book, she writes about her politics, she believes, is a lot like other people's, which is not so much doctrine, but exhaustion. And that people are just looking for some good common sense, which is what you're trying to talk about here. We are plugging
Can you just calm down, Bill?
We will get you back. But I don't think people are
now I understand all the rumors about you are true.
I don't know what that means. Like, we are polarized. I don't think we can deny that. The point is that we can also be friends. That's it. We can't. Let's not pretend that these disagreements are not profound. Let's just say, okay, they are profound, but you know what? There's 90 other things we could talk about which we wouldn't disagree on. And I can't hate you. I've said it a million times. You can hate Trump. You can't hate all the people who like him. It's half the country.
Yeah.
And I am certainly not blind to Donald Trump's faults. I get it, why people choose to vote for him. You know, somebody who's conservative once said to me, what you liberals don't get about Trump is that we don't like him either. We just see him as a bulwark against the nonsense on the left. And I understand that because there is a lot of nonsense on the left, and that's in my book too.
Yeah. All right. And I'll just add to that too, by the way. You don't have to like Trump, or we don't like Trump either. I mean, I do get a kick out of the things that Trump does. I don't know him well enough to like him. What's more important than saying we don't like Trump either, what's more important is this: you don't have to like your president. Your president doesn't have to be a charming, wonderful person. I'm sorry, gone are the days of voting for a wonderful, warm, fatherly figure. Ronald Reagan, I think, was the last one of those that we had. And by the way, gone are the days of voting for somebody of pure virtue and stellar character and values. Listen, would I like to vote for the hybrid of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Ronald Reagan? Of course I would. But he doesn't exist. Neither does she, by the way. Oh, and this comes after decades of people like Bill Maher and people in the media on the left, Democrats, telling the entire country that character is not the most important thing, because they had to walk down that path to defend the morally corrupt liar, Bill Clinton. You see, when Bill Clinton was exposed for who he really is, and by all norms in our society leading up to that point, he should have been drummed out of office or resign in disgrace. He didn't. And the only rationale the left in popular culture, in the news media, and in the Democratic Party had, the only rationale to overlook everything that he did and everything that he lied about to protect his sorry ass. The only thing they could say was character doesn't matter. America, grow up. Come on, the president of France, Francois Mitterrand, he has a mistress and he takes her out to the theater and it's an open secret and nobody cares. They're more superior than we are over in France because they don't get caught up in these tawdry little character issues. Okay. Lesson learned. Thank you, Democrats. We kept nominating people of good character. Election after election after election. You called Bob Dole a psychopath with brain damage. You called Mitt Romney a racist, sexist person who killed his employees that had cancer because he didn't offer them good enough HMOs. Okay? We've learned our lesson. It doesn't matter. And now you can't pretend that it does matter. A little bit more from Bill Maher, if you don't mind, because he had plenty to push back on with Joe Biden. It's almost like he watched our show yesterday, commenting on Biden's speech at Morehouse College, calling this country hopelessly evil and racist.
Well, let me ask you this: Do you think there is a purpose to him being so stark and bleak?
I think it's not helpful.
Yeah.
First of all, it's anachronistic. I mean, that speech would have made sense some years ago. I think we should acknowledge that racism still persists, and we should always be making remedial remedies for it. But we're not in the past. I always keep saying, let's live in the year we're living in. We're not living in the year where you have to be 10 times better to succeed if you're a person of color. And in some instances, it's an advantage.
Yeah.
In some places, it's not an advantage. But we're not living in that world that he's talking about, and I don't think that helps anybody.
And the PACs is.
Yeah, it's a great point that he made. Yes, of course, we've had racism, and of course, there's still racism, but not in any way whatsoever to the level that the organized left and the media would like you to think. But see, here's the problem with all of that. If the left is forced to actually concede to that point, they lose power. And, you know, that's what power is all about. All right, one last clip from Bill Maher, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Bill, we were told that if we didn't transition kids, we had blood on our hands. And now we're finding out that it's actually the reverse, that we should actually be not doing any of it. What do you think?
I like girls.
So, does that mean you want more boys to transition to girls?
No, you're confusing him with Jim.
No, I mean, I was talking about this on my show last week. I mean, we are the outlier now, the United States. It's so funny the way sometimes the woke stuff, you know, and I always try to make this point that liberalism is not, you know, the same thing as woke. Woke, they would like to think they're an extension of liberalism. I'm an old school liberal. They're not. It's very often the opposite. And they think they're going so far in the right direction, and it actually turns out that they're in the wrong direction, and they've actually reversed it, because most of the countries in Europe now, England, the Scandinavian countries, the ones we used to always be able to say, well, look what the liberal countries are doing. They're all reversed themselves on this. They don't do the puberty blockers anymore. They don't do this stuff because of studies like this. And America is just doubling down on this stuff. So we are the outlier country on this stuff. And look, there's always a sensible middle ground. That's what I'm always trying to find. Now, is there such a thing as trans? Of course. There are sometimes people who are, let's just say there's a mix-up at the factory. And you don't feel in your head the way you do in your body. But some of this is also just a TikTok challenge that got out of hand.
So the idea that liberalism is not the same as wokeism, and Bill Maher identifies himself as a traditional liberal, is kind of a fascinating thread to pull on and have a further conversation about. Because here's the thing. But for the last 2, 3, maybe 4 months, we've shown clips of Bill Maher on his show. And the talking point around it and what people have been saying on social media has always been, is Bill Maher now a conservative? Is Bill Maher a conservative? Is he turning conservative? Is he getting red-pilled? Is he? And by the way, much of that discussion is coming from the left, from the people who used to love his show, who used to go and sit in the audience and whoop it up with all of his nasty jokes that he would tell about conservatives and Republicans. And I think we're getting it all wrong. No, he's not conservative. He just doesn't think conservatives are demons and the enemy. And he's still kind of holding on to his same traditional liberal positions. It's that old sort of meme that you see where you're still standing where you are, and the middle used to be right here, but now the left has moved so far off to the left that the middle has shifted, and it looks like you're to the right of center. But you're not, and he's not. He certainly isn't. No, he's not red-pilled. No, he's not conservative. No, he's not a Republican. He's just not insane. And these days, if you're not completely insane, well, it makes it look like you're a conservative Republican. Great job, Greg Gutfeld. Great job, Fox News, who should be commended. More of that, please. And one thing I will agree with Bill Maher on when he said that his old show, Politically Incorrect, before it became this thing on HBO, Real Time, that is exactly what that show used to look like. And it was almost divided right down the middle. There were conservatives on one side, there were liberals on the other, and he was able to conduct the conversation in a way that most of the time didn't get ugly and contentious, because they were always trying to make it light and funny too, while talking about serious things. And that's one thing Gutfeld could do if he wanted to. I think the Fox News audience is grown up enough to accept that. We like seeing conservatives engage in a friendly way with liberals without any names being called, frankly, because it helps us learn how to do it ourselves when we've got to have Thanksgiving dinner with our crazy liberal brother-in-law. All right, a quick check in the comments to see what I've missed there, because that was a lot of content there. Let me see. Oh, Call Me Kaiser is here. Call Me Kaiser says, we're not that divided, is a really burying head in the sand take. I'm sorry. Yeah, I disagree with Dana on that one, too. What was going through my head there, and since I knew Kaiser that Bill Maher was about to disagree with her, I let him do it. But what I was thinking was, this was spoken like an attractive blonde who works at Fox News. And I don't mean to diminish her because she's an attractive blonde, but here's the advantage here. First of all, you work in Fox News, so you are surrounded by people who, for the most part, have enough similarity that you don't disagree. And number two, as an attractive blonde, basically people don't like to mix it up with you. And people don't like to get in your face. But I assure you, most people in most workplaces who believe what Dana Perino believes and expresses it at the workplace or at a college or a university, they're going to feel the full fury of the woke crowd on them. Don't tell me that cancel culture doesn't exist. You can't tell me that we're not that divided as long as cancel culture exists, and it exists in spades. I just heard about a friend of mine who was this close to getting a job. Everything was great, passed flying colors, and then this person thinks that not even because of their political beliefs, but because the outspoken and public political beliefs of their spouse, they didn't get the job. That's very real. It's existential. And Dana Perino, she needs to do better on that. By now, you know the growing story about P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, P. Diddy Combs, the Didster, P-Man, Comey Comb. Those last ones aren't real, but they might as well be. I love that newscasters are trying to tell this story about this guy with a straight face while they're using all of these outlandish rapper names. But they're treating the story as seriously as it should be, most recently because video has emerged showing the rapper and music mogul and accused child sex trafficker on a hotel security camera absolutely wailing on his girlfriend to the point where she just falls on the floor in a heap. It looks like she might be unconscious. It's incredibly disturbing to watch, and that's why we're not going to show it to you. But who this man is and how he was able to get away with his behavior that we're now learning was kind of an open secret in the hip-hop music world, I think is an incredibly important story to examine. But it's also very important in terms of how you examine it. Over at CNN, somebody had the bright idea to invite a rapper onto the show. Now, his name is Cameron, and apparently he has a podcast. And, well, I want you to watch the tail end of the interview as things start to steer off the highway onto the shoulder and straight off the embankment off a cliff.
Thanks for being here. First, when you saw that video of Diddy, Cassie in that hotel, did you recognize that Sean Combs?
What I want to say, first of all, when I seen the video, everything in the video was egregious. I'm against. I don't support all the charges that's alleged against him. I don't support any of that trafficking, minors, domestic violence. I'm totally against it. So when I seen the video, yeah, I was kind of upset with it. Being that I know him, he's not necessarily a friend, but yeah, I was upset when I seen it. But
okay, So far so good, right? We got the reaction to the video. What did you think about it? What was your reaction? I hated it. I don't subscribe to it. I wouldn't even call him a friend. I know him. We know people in the same circles, but yeah, absolutely condemn it. Couldn't believe it. Now things start to go a little weird. The journalist here, the host of the show, starts to ask, and I got to say, I'm kind of on the rapper's side now, not on the way. Well, you watch. I'm sort of on his side because the questions are kind of insipid questions for a guest. And well, I'll explain what the problem here is and why this went off the rails for CNN in just a minute, but take a watch.
Did you recognize
everything
him?
I just said?
Did you recognize that kind of anger at all from your experiences?
I don't like that. What do you mean? Do I be recognized? Did I recognize him? I seen him. What do you mean my experiences? I seen him and I thought it was disgusting. I didn't do a zoom in to see if it was really him or nothing, but he admitted it was him. So
okay, so when she says, "Did you recognize the behavior?" I think he thought she meant, "Can you positively identify Mr. Diddy Combs wearing the white bath towel in the hotel room?" She's like, "I didn't zoom in. What do you mean I didn't recognize him? They said that's who it was. He's admitted that's who it is." So it gets better. It gets better.
Yeah, it was him.
What did you think about the apology that he gave in that other video?
Ain't me for this. The apology ain't for me to decide. It's for Cassie. What I think about it don't matter. He ain't do nothing to me. Cassie need to ask Cassie if she accept the apology. I told you how I feel. I said what I said.
All right. By the way, let's pause there and introduce you to the video we're talking about. Mr. Combs, who is, I believe, is he still on the lam here, Kevin? He looks like he's in an undisclosed location in the Caribbean. Didn't they say he was like flying to Antigua or something? Have they found him?
I'm the last person to know, but he definitely fled at some point.
Yeah. Well, here he look. Well, if you look, he looks like he's being held hostage somewhere, and it does look sort of Caribbean-like. But here's the apology video. Well, with all the other stuff that's been out there about him, he hasn't said anything. But then when the video was released showing him beating up on his girlfriend, he felt compelled to apologize. So here's the apology video they just discussed.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was fucked up. I mean, I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy, and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry.
So a couple of things here, and before you get taken in by that, let me just say that what this man is accused of is some of the most disgusting, horrendous, and despicable kinds of things. Like I'm talking about the stuff that even thinking about it should send people to hell. This man is evil if everything they say about him is correct. He needs to be apprehended. He needs to face justice. If he has a defense, he needs to be able to present that defense. But the evil that he is accused of committing and the lives, the innocent lives that he is accused of destroying is incalculable. It's awful. And what you just saw there, if you think about it, and if you're in the media like I am, as I have been for as long as I have, you start to recognize certain patterns when people get into trouble, and then they have to issue a damage control, backtracking public statement to try to win sympathy. Listen, there's only one thing that I won't criticize there, and that is asking for God's grace and his forgiveness, because that's above my pay grade. God's forgiveness works in certain ways, and that's up to him to work out with him. Okay? But everything else you just heard there, I hit rock bottom. I don't recognize myself. There's no excuse for it, and I'm not making excuses. I had to go into rehab. I'm trying to fix myself every day, day by day, all from the script. That is PR, damage control, emergency, pull the red rope, escape hatch kind of public apology 101. They all have the same language. They all say the same thing. From my trained eye, there's nothing sincere about that. That was garbage. And now back to CNN, because when Cameron was asked, is it Cameron or Cameron? The guy's name, just so you know, this guy with the shades and the bucket hat and the strip behind him and all the stuff. The guy, I bet you if you check, he like grew up in the suburbs. You know, his name is, you know, Cameron Poindexter. And until he decided to make money doing this and make himself Cameron with the apostrophe, you know, he was probably just some nerdy kid at school playing Super Mario. But anyway, he said, hey, I don't have anything to say about the apology because that apology was for Cassie. Well, no, actually it wasn't. That video that you just saw, the woman who was wailed upon and beat up, she was not mentioned once. That apology was not for her. That apology was for us so that we keep buying this guy's records and clothes. He's seeing his entire life fall around him, and he needs to keep redeeming himself in your eyes so that you buy his stuff so he can pay for his legal defense or pay for his compound somewhere in the Caribbean where the feds can't get to him.
Ain't me for this. The apology ain't for me to decide, for Cassie. What I think about it don't matter. He ain't do nothing to me. Cassie need to ask Cassie if she accept the apology. I told you how I feel. I said what I said.
I want to play a conversation that you had on your podcast back in September with Mace. Listen.
Okay, hold on. This is too good. He's got a podcast. Well, I make this joke all the time, but it just gets funnier and funnier every day. Everybody has a podcast. Who in the hell doesn't have a podcast? Of course he's got a podcast. Why wouldn't he have a podcast? It's probably making more money than this podcast. Although I wouldn't want to do the stuff that he does to make money. There's some lines I won't cross.
Yeah.
When you had your record deal, why did you take me to Biggie Smalls and not Bad Boy?
Man, it's almost gonna bring me to tears to say this. I just, being that I saw you as such a good friend, I wanted to put you with somebody I knew with.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. A lot of people ask me that on Instagram, man. Don't have me that's out here crying and shit, man. I don't want to get emotional in here, man.
Instantly, I knew Biggie would do right by you.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, is there something known in the industry about how Diddy treated his artists?
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint.
Hold on. What the hell was that? Hold on.
That, I mean, is there something known in the industry about how Diddy treated his artists?
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint.
By the way, I love the look on her face. Look at look at her. All right, I'm gonna get some cheeks, he said. Kevin, is that a euphemism for what I think it's a euphemism for?
One might assume so.
What do you mean one might assume? I need a definitive answer.
You know, that's not the diction that I use in my day-to-day life, but I mean, all signs.
Okay. So, hang on. I'm just get some cheeks. I did just Google get some cheeks, and now I'm going to have to clear my browser history. It does mean exactly what you think it means. And once again, you can tell by the look on her face. All right. And then horse power drink. Now I see power horse drink. I see. Yes. There's also one called Secret Stallion Maximum Herbal Tonic Drink. There's another one called Finish Line. There's apparently it's well, it provides stamina, let's say. Is that the correct description of what a horsepower drink is and how it might aid one in, how did he put it? Getting some cheeks? Kevin? I need you to interact with me on this. Don't dangle me out here alone.
I can't interact with you. You are on your own for this one.
And I'm dangling.
In the industry about how Diddy treated his artists?
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint.
I'm so happy this happened on CNN. That's exactly what they deserve. And apparently it's about 8 o'clock or almost 8 o'clock Las Vegas time. So yeah, his night's lining up for him. He's getting ready. Come on, the night is young. Let's go. Yo, give me my horsepower drink. We're almost done. We got about 10 minutes left here, Kevin. I'm not going to say it. All right. Well, that's something. I don't think any of us were expecting that to happen. Let's see how the interview ends.
I'm just going off what Mace said. Mace took me to Biggie. I don't really know Puffers like Mace know Puff. So I appreciate what Mace said. And of course, that's my brother. So if he felt that way, then he felt that way. I can't really tell you how Puff moves or anything like that. Mace may know better than me because he was signed to Puff. I wasn't. But my show does come on at 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. It's called It Is What It Is. And y'all make sure y'all check it out. I mean, I might get some more information out of Mace from there. But for me to tell you how Puff act and all that, I don't know. I never was signed to him.
Yeah. What about the industry in general? I mean, so many people have pointed out that Diddy couldn't get away with this stuff if there weren't a lot of people protecting him.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I want to know what producer is talking in her ear saying, all right, just look beyond it. Keep going with the interview. Ask another question, maybe about the industry. Who decided that it's time for one more question in this segment? Instead of like, yeah, okay, getting some cheeks with the horsepower drink. Maybe it's time to move on. Maybe it's time to cut the satellite feed. Save ourselves the $5,000 for the connection. Whose bright idea was it to say, keep engaging, draw something out of him? Whoever it was, by the way, honestly, CNN is getting better and better. I might start watching again if this is the kind of stuff they're bringing to the table. Oh, yeah.
Do you think that's the case?
Who the talent agent for this joint? Like, you think I'll be sitting around watching what Diddy do and all this? I didn't know this was a Diddy joint that y'all invited me to. Yo, who booked me for this joint?
All right.
Wow, and I'll be sitting around watching Diddy and all that. Yeah,
thanks.
Man, come on, man.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think that ended perfectly. In fact, if I'm ever on CNN again, it is going to be a long time since they ever am again. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I don't know if they'll let me stay on as long as he did, but that's the best part. Who booked this? What the hell? All she wants to do is talk about Diddy. You know that they said, we'd like you to come on and talk about Diddy. And he said, oh, absolutely. I'd love to come on and talk about Diddy. Who the booked this shit? Oh, I missed one. Sorry. Well, that's fantastic. Honestly, you know what? Maybe CNN's got to do something. And maybe this is the secret sauce. Maybe this is how they can look at her face. Like, she's so proud. My parents paid $75,000 a year at Northwestern for me to get a journalism degree. And this is what I'm doing. Oh, CNN, don't ever change. Seriously. Keep up the good work. James Earl Jones wants that voiceover back, by the way. He doesn't want to have anything to do with this. Now go get some cheeks. Donald Trump, of course, finds himself in a courtroom most of the time these days, but he does have somebody running his social media accounts for him, at least I think. I mean, he could be tweeting while he's sitting there in the courtroom, or excuse me, truthing. He's on Truth Social, of course. That's the social media platform that he created when Twitter blocked him and canceled his account. So he said, screw it, I'll start my own company, and now it's worth billions of dollars. Funny how that works out. Anyway, somebody's been truthing on his Truth Social account some pretty fun videos. He's been on a string here of videos going after President Biden, and, well, they're all pretty good. Here's one.
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause.
Now think if I read my teleprompter and I'm going, well, let's see, because of the weakness in the economy, I'd like to apologize. Pause. 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 What was that? That's unbelievable. Pause. You know, I was watching it. I said, that was weird.
Here's another one that President Trump has shared recently on his Truth Social account. I don't know who's making these for him, or maybe he's someone else. You know, there's a whole industry out there where people make Trump Biden memes and then put them out there. My guess is his social media manager says, hey, can we use that video over here too? And of course, they're like, of course, of course. So here's one showing Trump with his famous drive form. Steps up to the ball. Hold on, that's worth watching again, isn't it? I wasn't expecting that. So I've seen the one that hits him when he's going up the stairs before, but I've never seen the ricochet one. That is well timed. Okay, one more time. I'm sorry. Joe Biden falling down will never not be funny. Call me juvenile. Call me un-American. Frankly, I think there's nothing more American than laughing at your fool of a president falling over. Especially this one. It's the funniest thing in the world. And if Saturday Night Live ever understood what was funny again, they would have a Biden character falling every single night. Every single sketch. All right, you want one more Trump meme? Here we go. Latest video here. This is pretty great.
He's an old guy, has dementia, can't lead us, and the country is screwed. Tells some big lies, barely speaks English, sniffs children, and their mom's hair too goes the wrong way. When he leaves his speeches, gets lost each day. In the White House yard, all the Dems say that we should re-elect him. How can he run when walking is hard? And Joe keeps falling, yeah, he keeps falling, keeps falling, falling, yeah, he keeps falling, and Joe keeps falling, yeah, he keeps falling, keeps falling, falling, yeah, he keeps falling.
Oh, that was Jimmy Failla. That's good. Good job, Jimmy. And you're going to get Tom Petty stuck in your head now, of course. Well, the way these things go, whoever owns the publishing rights for Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers will probably sue them from parodying their song. But that's hilarious. Objectively speaking, that's hilarious. And I love the fact that Trump is actually running with some level of whimsy, that he's making fun of Joe Biden, who deserves to be made fun of. And gone are the days where a political candidate will say, "Oh, well, we're a serious campaign. We're not going to dabble in that sort of thing." That's what Nikki Haley tried to do. How'd that work out for her? We're above that. We're not going to stoop to that level. Here's the thing: the left stoops to this level all the time. If Biden doesn't do it, he's got his trained monkeys in the media and the late night comedy shows do it for him. We don't have that on the right, so it's good. It's good that Trump likes to make fun of Joe Biden, because we all like to make fun of Joe Biden because he's funny. His brain doesn't function and he falls over all the time. And yes, there's endless videos of him smelling poor little girls and their mothers. So everything about that. That's when things are funny, they're funny for a reason. And it's usually because it's rooted in the truth. And this is who this man is. This is who Joe Biden is. Listen, embrace it. He falls down all the time. This White House tries to guess it. So this White House is so used to lying about everything that they want to gaslight everybody by just sort of taking the imagery away. If they were honest, if they were transparent, it's like, yeah, he's an old guy and he falls sometimes, but that's fine. He's still a good president. They can't bring themselves to do that because they have spent so many years lying about everything that it's just second nature to lie about this too. So what have they done? They've got him new shoes to keep him from falling down that have like rubber soles that look like pontoon boats around them. Like he's walking in freaking kayaks all day long. And when he's walking back and forth from the helicopter, he's surrounded by people now so that it's not caught on camera that he walks like a robot. His gait is so disturbing because inside his head, what little hamster wheel of a brain is still functioning is just repeating over and over again, left, right, don't fall. You're president, left, right. That's all. And so if that's all you're thinking of while you're trying to actually force your gross motor skills to actually work, that's what your gait is going to end up looking like, especially with the pontoon boat shoes. I have a friend. I'm trying to describe this person without giving away who this person is. This person has 2 children, a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old. And, we all live here in the D.C. area, the mid-Atlantic. You either live in Virginia or Maryland or D.C., right? When you work in the media in D.C. And this person does as well. But like most people in the spring and summertime here in the area, they like to spend long weekends or maybe even vacation out on the shore. You cross the Chesapeake Bay and drive out to the Atlantic, either in Maryland, Ocean City. You could go all the way down to Virginia, but it becomes a bit of a schlep. But for the most part, people will go to some part of the Maryland shore or up into Delaware. Rehoboth Beach is very popular. And I'm telling you this because this person's daughters are demanding the next time they go to Rehoboth Beach, they find the spot where Joe Biden fell over on his bicycle. I don't know if you know this, but that spot has become kind of legendary amongst the locals. There was actually, it was pinpointed on Google Maps before. I think that Google, because Google is actually not about truth, news, and information. They're a propaganda arm. Google may have erased this, but it used to be a point of interest. If you Googled, Rehoboth Beach on Google Maps and asked, where's the place Joe Biden fell over on his bicycle, it would actually show you the landmark. Like it was, George Washington slept here. No, but instead it's Joe Biden fell over here. And I think the locals have actually erected either a sign or they spray painted a part on the bike path or something like this. So it's just beautiful. It's great. And think about it. This 7-year-old and 5-year-old, this is all they know of a president. And I'm trying to bring it back to this to tell you why this stuff is important. When you grow up in this country, 4 years is a long time. And So these kids were what, 4 and 2 when Joe Biden was inaugurated. So their only memory of a president of the United States is this disaster. And to them, they think it's hilarious that the president can't ride a bike without falling over because they're children. And that's the easiest thing in the world to do. They learned how to ride a bike, and the president can't even do it. So they want to go there so they can mock their president. And God bless those kids, because that's why those boys froze their toeses off. Toeses? Toeses? That's why those boys froze their toes off in Valley Forge when we were fighting for our independence. Because back then, you sure couldn't laugh at King George for falling off his bicycle. But our founders had a dream. They had a vision. Someday, we'll have an incompetent mashed potato brains president, and he won't even be able to ride a bike. And God bless it, we need future generations to be able to mock him and laugh at him, because a president, a world leader, falling off a bike is hilarious. Let's watch it one more time, shall we?
He's an old guy, has dementia, can't lead us, and the country is screwed. Tells some big lies, barely speaks English, sniffs children, and their mom's hair too goes the wrong way. When he leaves his speeches, gets lost each day. In the White House yard, all the Dems say that we should re-elect him. How can he run when walking is hard? And Joe keeps falling, yeah, he keeps falling, keeps falling, yeah, he keeps falling, and Joe keeps falling, yeah, he keeps falling, keeps falling, yeah, he keeps falling.
All right. I hope you had a good laugh today. Thank you for watching. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for liking and promoting our videos. It really does mean a lot for us. Thanks for all the really supportive comments, by the way, in the chat. I've been watching it. You all have had really, really generous things to say and nice things to say, and I appreciate that. And yes, it's true. I do fill in for Mark Levin on a regular basis whenever he's out of town or sick. I don't have a future date coming up. He's going to be in town for a bit. But next time he's out of town, I'll be filling in for him, and I love doing it. So thank you for that, those kind words, and thank you for all the support. I really do appreciate it. But that's it for today. We're out of here. In fact, we're past time. I've gone overtime, which I do pretty much every time because I like it. This is too much fun. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll be back next time. In the meantime, I'm Larry O'Connor. You can call me Larry.